The road to Backlash continues. We're on the road also to the draft. This is the last show before the draft. So this is going to be the last Smackdown where you see a lot of people on this show. There's going to be a
Hmm.
lot of people who will be
Yeah.
moving over to Raw for the rest of this road to Backlash. But anyway, Tro, big day, season ticket holder day for at the
Yeah.
UBS
Yeah.
Arena. But how you doing?
It felt nice to be appreciated. I found out. I found out. So for years now, the chicken tenders at UBS have been pretty dog shit.
Okay,
I found out where they've been.
where have they been?
Those motherfuckers have been hiding. They've been hiding the best tenders in the goddamn Dime Club for all their little, for all
Oh,
the expensive people. So the poor like us can't get good tenders. We get dog shit tenders.
oh, I
And that's
see.
not all.
Okay.
And that's not all. Matt Molson, he took his ball. Matt Molson took his ball and he went home.
Oh man,
Didn't even
Matt,
show up. But you know who did show up? Bobby Nystrom.
that'd be nice. Well, you got to see somebody from the dynasty. Matt Molson's my guy, man. I
I
doubt
mean,
it.
he turned his back on you, Frank. I'm sorry.
No, he technically turned his back on you because I'm not a season ticket holder.
Yeah, don't worry. He'll come back in about 5 or 6 months and attack Lou, and then get retire, get retire again.
So anyway, the SmackDown in question that we are covering, this is our second Road to Backlash show, and it is the March 21st, 2002 edition of SmackDown. And this series that we're doing, not the Road to Backlash, there's this actual series of the retro wrestling reviews, has gone over possibly, hopefully, its final name change, but we've now gone through about 3 to 4 name changes from being Cybomanian friends way back when to becoming Retro
OGs,
Bros, Retro
only OGs remember.
Retro Bros reviews,
Yeah.
FNCs. After you came in around that same time, we were getting rid of Retro Bros. So I originally renamed the channel FNC ENT, and that's when we named this FN. The series got named FNC's Retro Wrestling Reviews, and then we named the channel FCT to add you into it because you literally had just came in around the time we were like, oh, we need to change the name, and at that point, I was like, oh, Christian was like, we need to throw Tro in here because he's been such a big part of the channel. I'm like, I'll throw his name into the channel, but I'm not changing the damn because I just we had done like probably 40 to 50 episodes at this point, and I had just changed all the names on all those episodes, and I'm like, not about to do that again. Well,
Yeah.
well, I should have did it back then because now I've done it when we had 76 episodes. Shortly after we did our
I wish
last,
there was a way for you to have just done that like automatically, but I guess it's kind
yeah,
of tedious. It's kind of hard for like even YouTube to be like, you want to change this many names at one time?
yeah. So we are now F or not we are. We have been FCT ENT for a while now, but this series is now FCT's retro wrestling reviews. And obviously Tro, you've been in like the last 20 plus episodes. So that's why I was like, we got to get his name into the fucking episodes because like
The
makes
Iron
no
Man over
sense.
here.
Yeah, it makes no sense to call it FNC's retro wrestling reviews and it's FNT. So I threw your name into the series. But anyway, let's get to it.
Yeah,
Smack.
as
Go
this
ahead.
is the go home trophy for the draft. Do
Yes.
you have any what is Mel Kiper, aka Frank's draft picks on the board? You think will be picked overall first?
Well, I will say this: if The Rock doesn't go first overall, I will retire as a draft analyst.
I think I think TJ Champa has a very good chance of being drafted first overall by Vince McMahon.
I think Mel Kiper did have TJ Tampa at the top of this draft board, and similar to last year's draft, he was on top of the board pretty much forever in this 2022 or 2002.
I'm just saying, TJ Tampa, I think Devon Dudley is actually my sleeper pick to be drafted in the first overall.
Ah, there you go. And maybe he becomes he becomes number one overall pick and it makes him a religious man. And all of a sudden he's the Reverend.
He needs a Leviathan.
He does. Maybe call him oh gosh,
Deacon.
what the hell? Deacon, yeah, he can be the deacon.
Come on, going from a Leviathan to Deacon. That dude will never work out.
So that will be our next show, the draft, because that is the next weekly show that we after the show we're obviously covering right now, the March 21st, 2002 SmackDown. But we're gonna get into it right now. They open the show with a WrestleMania rematch, but first they open the show with Kurt Angle coming out because he's going to be on color commentary for this WrestleMania rematch. As Kurt Angle is walking to the ring, they are showing a replay of Raw where Edge pinned Kurt Angle in a tag match. Jerry Lawler, obviously being a heel, as Kurt Angle gets to the announce table, he's like, "Why the hell are you guys showing this?" And Jerry Lawler's like, "I apologize. That's Michael Cole. Michael Cole's showing this. I don't know why he's being a jerk." And Michael Cole's just like, "Well, it's the truth. What are you getting mad about? It happened." And so this is Edge versus Booker T, a WrestleMania 18 rematch. And boy, did Kurt Angle steal the show on commentary here with I'm one of Booker T's homies. He's like, "I'm down with the homies. Who let the dogs out?" Like he's trying to be cool. He's trying to sound hip, and it made for a very hilarious time on commentary with Kurt Angle. In the end, though, in the match, well, by the way, this is like a main event Mafia preview with Booker and Kurt Angle on the same side. But in the end, Edge.
If only we had Booker T on commentary in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go, main event Mafia. There you go. Absolutely.
Booker T beating Edge's ass. Booker T fighting Edge over shampoo. About that.
So at one point late in the match, Booker T bumps the ref. Edge gets a spear on Booker, but obviously there's no ref. Kurt Angle comes in, and essentially he, how you say it? He distracts Edge, and Booker T gets the axe kick for the victory. This is a decent way to start the show. Like I said, Kurt Angle stole the show on commentary. That was the biggest part of the match. What did you think of it?
I thought it was good. Kurt's ability to be incredibly funny, but also serious at the same time, is a really great talent of his.
Yes. Now we have Hulk Hogan walking backstage, where all of a sudden, as he's walking backstage, you see Mr. McMahon come out of a door and walk over to Hulk Hogan, and he essentially says, "I made sports entertainment." Mr. McMahon says that. He says, "I made you, Hulk Hogan. Every time you go into business for yourself, you fall flat on your face. And turning your back on the NWO was not cool, brother." But McMahon says he's willing to let bygones be bygones, and if Hogan is willing to be the number one pick to SmackDown, and he is willing to take direction from Mr. McMahon and not go into business for himself, then the whole turning on the NWO thing can be forgotten. And McMahon is even willing to give Hogan the night off to think about this. And Hogan says he'll think about it, but he'll also stick around, hang around for the rest of the night.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
A really good little segment there. Shit, I'm frozen. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just I'm frozen on my end. So good little segment there, Hogan and McMahon. It's funny too because we are doing this on March 30th, the 22-year anniversary of WrestleMania 19, which obviously had Mr. McMahon versus Hulk Hogan, and that's kind of what they're building to here. McMahon and Hogan. This is almost like their first interaction, even though we're like a whole year away.
Yeah.
It's kind of it right here. So perfect timing, even though we didn't do that purposely. But what do you think,
Yeah.
Tro?
It's Yvonne Garnier in the background.
Yeah,
And that'd be perfect. Like, what if I use you in a year?
Grenier was mentioned on this show, by the way. Going back
Hmm.
to the opener, was it the open? Oh, no, he was. I think it was referenced when obviously when Jericho came out in Jericho's promo segment, where they reference the guy that Jericho beat up in the back, and Jerry Lawler says, "I think that guy's still in the hospital." That guy is obviously Sylvain Grenier from the Raw prior to this show.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Hogan and McMahon?
I thought it. I thought it was good. I mean, it's interesting because this is the era of this is the 1 year of Hogan where he's like he's really given to other people. So it's interesting to see him interact with Vince in this way.
Yeah. Uh, okay, so now we have the APA playing a card game backstage in their office. Farouk wins the card game and says now Bradshaw owes him $5. Bradshaw's like, what? No. And Farouk is like, yeah, you do. And then that's when you see Bradshaw looking off camera at something and he yells, Englishman, Englishman, come here. And you see William Regal show up. And Bradshaw says, listen, I need $5. Regal says, well, so you what? So you can go to the local strip joint and stick it down the knickers of some lowly twat? And Bradshaw's like, yes, that's exactly. Regal then reminds APA that the draft is coming up. And Farouk says, what are you talking about, draft? We've already been drafted. And Farouk says, yeah, I was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And Bradshaw says, yeah, the LA Rams drafted me. Which I believe is true. They were both football players. And Farouk, Ron Simmons, won the Heisman. Was it, or was he a runner-up for the Heisman? He was a pass rusher, and I guess he was a really damn good one. Um,
Yeah.
Regal, just like last week, if you remember last week on the Raw episode, he did this with the Hardys. He mentions to the APA that in the draft they could be split up. One guy goes to Mr. McMahon's Smackdown, the other goes to Ric Flair's Raw, and he's gonna miss the APA doing their thing, being all funny and whatever. And Jay Bradshaw then says, "Well, if that happens, then one of us, being the APA, obviously, will be on the same show as William Regal." So the APA will still be able to kick your royal ass. To which Regal says, how charming and good day, guys, as he walks away. And he obviously walks out of the invisible wall. So you know what happens next.
He's banned.
JBL yells at him and says, hey, use the door. You wouldn't do that in Buckingham Palace? Were you raised in a barn? And Bradshaw just does the really good. He essentially does a preview of his JBL theme song where he just lets out a loud moo. And I just want to point out there was a random ass Carolina Hurricanes bag just sitting right in the right in the camera way of the. So it could be seen on camera in this segment, and all I can say is screw that bag. But yeah,
2000,
2002,
2001,
2002.
2002.
Yeah,
When did they move from Hartford?
that would be in the mid '90s, right?
Was it in the mid 90s?
Yeah, yeah.
So this would have been so
This is in
02. So this would
yeah. This is in
this is
Ottawa. This is in Ottawa
out of
too. So they must have
yeah
been playing the Senators at the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
So that would have been like the pre-cup. This was the pre-cup games,
They would have went
but
to the
like
cup that
they probably
they went to the cup that year.
no, they went to the cup in 06.
No, before this, they in the O2 Cup, they lost to Detroit.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's right. They see
Yeah.
02. Oh, 02 is kind of like my forget me year because it was
Yeah.
02. 02 was the Red Wings. 03 was the Devils. 04 was Tampa.
Mhm.
05 was nobody.
Right. Right.
06 was the Canes, and then no one remembers the Ducks either.
Yeah. So as Regal is leaving through the door, he runs into a smiling DDP. When I first saw this, I literally thought to myself, why the hell is there a random DDP stand up just sitting around? It really looked like just a stand. You know those little
That's
stand
not a
ups that
bad thing. That's a good thing.
uh, Roman Reigns as a kid had a Trish Stratus one, which nobody can. Oh, the cardboard cutout. That's what you would call
Oh,
it. Yeah.
that used to sit. I had one of Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I swear to God, every time when I was little, I would go and I would forget about it. I had him like in the corner of an upstairs face.
Yeah.
All I see is his fucking tall ass staring at me. I'm like, ah, Sean, don't kill me, please.
I swear though, DDP was like he looked like a fucking statue when he's standing there with that smile. I'm like, why is there
I'm
DDP cardboard cutout? Just and then I realized, oh, it
he,
actually
this
is DDP. Go ahead.
this is when he discovered about DDP yoga. He's like,
Yeah.
I just figured out a new yoga. I figured out about this new yoga thing. I'm gonna call it DDP yoga. It's gonna save the lives of so many people.
Yeah. So DDP, after cutting that big smile, he says to William Regal, he can't help but wonder why Regal keeps bringing up the bad things that can happen as a result of the upcoming draft. And then he kind of realizes, oh, it must be because you lost the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And then Regal, getting mad, says, perhaps I'm mad because a grinning idiot like you is holding the European title, a title I once held with honor. He then challenges DDP to a European title match so Regal himself can let out this aggression and anger that's making him so bloody mad. And he says sunshine at the end of that to, talking to DDP. DDP responds again. This is positive page. He has these funny responses, and he responds by yelling three words: "Great, super, marvelous." And then DDP says, "Once I beat you tonight, Regal, you'll forget about losing the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. That's not a bad thing. That's a
That's a good thing. We need DDP to be the Islanders head coach.
oh my gosh. So
just smiling like, don't worry, Harburg. You suck, but guess what? You're a backup. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
So Regal and APA, I thought that was a really good segment. That was so funny. Bradshaw and Farouk were great. I love how they bring up, like, Farouk's like, I was drafted by the Browns. Bradshaw's like, I was drafted by the Rams. So, yeah, that was a really funny segment. Regal and DDP was good too, but that's obviously just setting up the match later tonight. But what do you think about these two segments here?
How close was Regal to saying ruthless aggression?
maybe this is where Vince McMahon was like,
Yeah.
ruthless. That's a good word. Brock Lesnar did.
Say?
Brock Lesnar just debuted the week prior, and while John Cena kind of became like the poster boy for ruthless
You
aggression,
mean the prototype?
yeah, because obviously he slaps Kurt Angle after saying ruthless aggression. Brock Lesnar was supposed to be the face of the ruthless aggression.
Ruthless aggression.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this is literally like just a few days after. Well, technically, if you want to go by when it was taped, this is literally the day after Brock debuted. So we're starting to throw the word ruthless around. That's
This
a
is
nice.
the prototype to the prototype.
So yeah. So thoughts on those segments?
They were very good, but I don't think JB was legitimately drafted by the Rams. I'm pretty sure Farouk was drafted by the Browns, but I don't know
Uh,
about Bradshaw. I know he played in high school because he has like that really goofy high school photo of him in the
yeah,
glasses and the pads
yeah. And there's
where he
like a
looks where he looks like JBL from the future.
yeah. There's an actual football card of him. I think college card somewhere. I'm
Yeah,
gonna look up see if he was drafted by the Rams. It's funny
I believe it.
he mentions the L.A. Rams, and at the time, for like a kid like me, you hear that and you would think, the hell's he talking about? The Rams playing St. Louis.
Yeah, yeah.
If a kid today was watching that on the network, they would be like, oh yeah, the LA Rams, yeah, the football team. They'd
Now if they
never,
said
they're
The St. Louis Rams, they'd be like, St. Louis,
yeah.
the hell? Atlanta Thrashers, who?
You had Atlanta Thrashers. Uh,
They're coming back, Frank. Don't you worry.
yeah, yeah.
It's gonna create the greatest timeline conundrum ever.
Okay, let me see something.
And I'm here
Hold
for it.
on, hold on. Let me see.
We're not, pal.
I know. Now you got me looking up to see if Bradshaw actually was drafted by the Rams. Let's see. Uh,
I don't know if it'd say it online.
yeah, career. Oh, he was drafted. Well, it says he was on the Raiders practice squad in 1990. Did he mean L.A. Raiders? I'm pretty sure he said L.A. Rams, but okay. Let me see. Football career. Uh, oh no. Was he drafted? It doesn't say he was drafted. It said Layfield signed with the Los Angeles Raiders. No, he was not drafted. He was an undrafted free agent signee by the LA Raiders.
That motherfucker lied. That
He
motherfucking lying
lied.
bastard.
He lied.
He lied.
So now was Ron Simmons actually drafted by the Browns? Let's see here.
That I would believe because I'm
I
pretty
believe
sure
that
he.
too. I believe that too because I think it was like a Heisman runner-up at one point.
Now if Bill Goldberg said it, he'd be like, "Well, yeah, you played for the Falcons, dude. You had
Yeah,
hair back then."
the Cleveland Browns drafted him. Yep.
Yep.
So Farouk was telling the truth, and
JBL was lying.
Bradshaw was making some stuff up.
And it's funny because only one of them benefits from the draft, and it's not Farouk, the one who told the truth.
Yeah. But the one thing about the well, that's a draft from a couple years later. But the one
No,
thing
because
that
Farouk wasn't on TV. Wasn't on TV from the
yeah, but he came.
after the APA.
So you're just talking about like this draft. Well, you kind of saw
Yeah.
a little bit of Bradshaw. Bradshaw was in
Well,
later in the year. He was
yeah.
teaming with I think Devon in the tournament to crown the first ever Smackdown champs. So yeah, Farouk may not have been on TV that much, but he had some stuff.
But
Now
compared
we
to what
have
JBL was doing with the hardcore title.
oh yes, yeah, obviously. Now we have Hall and Nash. Let me just see if I got that. Yes, Hall and Nash backstage, and Scott Hall mentions that tonight is Kevin Nash's SmackDown debut, the first time that the big man has ever wrestled on SmackDown, and he says Nash rock. He says he's so sick This is Hall talking. He's so sick of that punk kid with the smirky smile as he's talking about The Rock. And he says, since he loves saying just bring it, why don't you, Kevin Nash, bring 7 foot 330 down to the ring and show him who the great one is? Nash says, you're right. I'm going to bring it. I'll do what Hogan couldn't do. Tonight I'll kick The Rock's ass. Decent little segment there with Hall and Nash getting prepped up for the main event. What do you think about it?
I thought it was fun. Hall's not the greatest on the promos, but he was fine here.
Yeah. And now we have another segment. Uh, Lillian Garcia congratulates RVD on his WrestleMania win. He says thank you and reminds her that it was in front of 7,000 people. Well, the exact amount was a little off because it was about 68,000. It was close. 70 that he
Nope.
says 70,000. He says 70,000. They actually showed the exact attendance later in the show. He was close.
Yeah.
uh, she then asked RVD, with the draft looming, where does he want to go? Mr. McMahon on SmackDown or Ric Flair on Raw? Rob Van Dam says it does not matter because after the draft, no matter where he goes, he'll still be Rob Van Dam. Well, he was wrong because he got drafted by Ric Flair and then became Rob Jackson.
He became Robert
Yeah, he
Van
became
Neely.
Robert Van Neely. Yeah. So a good, decent little segment of just showing, Rob Van Dam and his, no give no fucks attitude. But good little interview segment. What did you think about it?
Cool, whatever, man.
Yeah. How about we do a little whack of the night? It is Brock.
Oh my.
They reshow Brock Lesnar's debut from earlier tonight. Or excuse me, from Raw, the last show we did.
He
That
debuted
Raw.
again tonight.
Yeah. Now we have the European title, DDP taking on William Regal, and this was actually a pretty fun match, even though it was short. It went about 3 minutes 52 seconds. One of DDP, we're getting close to the end here for DDP. He is in the
Yeah.
draft, but shortly after the draft, he ends up getting injured in a match against Hardcore Holly, and he's never seen again, at least in WWE TV. Fun match. I would absolutely probably give it match of the night. Regal retains with the Regal stretch. What do you think about this match?
I thought it was a good match. They have a good chemistry with each other. It's a very good TV match, but it could have also been a good pay per view match. With Regal, Regal probably would have won by cheating in the pay per view, but here it's kind of nice to see him kind of win kind of clean. Like it
Yeah,
kind of shows like he obviously more often than not he'll use the brass knuckles, but
yeah,
he can still beat you technically.
right. Now we have our segment of the night, at least in my opinion, and we get to see the amazing Stephanie McMahon. Now,
Boo.
okay, how many times I gotta tell you? I don't care if you got a new phone. You're banned.
Now now you have to edit out my name. You have to re-edit those videos
Yeah.
to take my name.
So Chris Jericho and Stephanie come out, and Jericho is confident in his chances on Monday, and he tells us that obviously later on as the promo gets on, obviously if Stephanie loses on Monday, or if Jericho loses for that matter, it's obviously Triple H versus Stephanie and Chris Jericho for the Undisputed title. If Triple H beats either one of them, Stephanie's out, which is horrible. But Jericho says that we all need Stephanie, which he is absolute 100% correct upon that. We absolutely need Stephanie.
Do we
Just
though?
plain,
Do we really?
yes, yes, we do. She
No,
is
I disagree.
yeah. Okay, that's it. You're gone. Yeah.
Not again.
But so then that's when Triple H comes out, and
Mhm.
at one point this was kind of funny because he actually shows like a video history of like Stephanie getting her comeuppance and like people making fun of her. And like Chris Jericho's like all over the video, legitimately, like because obviously Jericho used to make fun of Stephanie, so he was all over this video, which kind of contradicts what's going on here with Jericho and Stephanie being on each other's side, but that's still kind of funny. Um, so Triple H for this video deserves to be kicked out of the WWE and just well first get jumped and then kicked out of the WWE. And to be honest, everybody who was
Well,
in that video, from Stone Cold Steve Austin to Jericho himself to Rikishi, except for Trish Stratus, everybody else who was in that video needs to be jumped and kicked out of the WWE.
well, how can he be kicked out of the WWE when WWE doesn't exist yet for you?
It's you know what I mean. Yeah, this is
No,
technically
no.
WWE.
He
This is
can't be
technically.
kicked out of something he doesn't that doesn't exist yet.
Oh,
It's
hold
a
on a minute.
paradox.
Oh, you know what? I just fucked up. I realized I just fucked
You
up.
fucked
So
up.
I
You fucked up. You fucked up.
mentioning Trish is what made me remember I screwed something up here, and I actually skipped over when I went. It was after. It was after the outside the Nash and Hall segment. We got Lita and Trish versus Jazz and Ivory. So we get Lita. I mean, we get Trish and Ivory, which is just amazing. Decent little tag match. Jazz wins with a
Not
high kick.
memorable though.
What?
So not memorable, obviously.
No, Trish wins with a high kick and a bulldog. This match went about 4 minutes, 18 seconds. A decent little
4 minutes,
match.
18 seconds.
Yeah.
I didn't know
So
it was good.
then, so then after the tag match, that's when we had RVD being interviewed. Then the European title match, and now we are back to where I was. So uh, after the video package, let me see. So Stephanie changes her mind on the main event. She actually announces now that the main event for the draft next week, instead of being a handicap match, is going to be a triple threat match, which immediately has Chris Jericho looking at her like, "What in the world are you doing?" Like, because now Jericho can essentially, if Stephanie pins Triple H, Stephanie's the champ. If Stephanie pins Jericho, Stephanie's the champ, and Chris Jericho will lose his chance at becoming champ again. So
Yep.
not a good look there. But that's this segment, in my opinion, was the segment of the night. What do you think of the women's tag match first, then this segment here?
Well, quite frankly, I fell asleep midway through it. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was okay.
And the Stephanie, Jericho, and Triple H segment.
I mean, it's good build. It's good build for the draft show that I don't think really needs that much build though. It's good. It's a
Hmm.
good. It's good like thing to advertise match wise
Yeah,
for the show because the draft does kind of sell itself.
right. So it's still good to get a segment in,
Yeah.
you know. So right after that, we have Lillian Garcia interviewing Chris Jericho, and she asks him about his peculiar reaction to Steph's announcement. And I love his reaction, sort of like this whole high school type of reaction where he's like, "Peculiar, you're peculiar." And then he starts thinking, like, look, this is horrible. I can lose my title if Triple H pins Stephanie, or if Stephanie pins Triple H, or if Stephanie pins me. Then he realizes, but if I pin Stephanie, I become the champion. And that is where he realizes, Stephanie McMahon's plan here. I thought this was a really good backstage interview where, obviously, you end the segment with that question, like, what is Stephanie doing? And obviously, Chris Jericho is looking at her like, what the hell are you doing? But they obviously they explain to you what is going on by having Chris Jericho be like, I get it. That was a good segment. Or a good interview segment. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
In theory, if Chris Jericho wants to win quickly, kick Triple H in the balls and pin Stephanie.
There you go.
Not enough ball kicking happens in WWE triple threat matches. I'm just saying, you kick each other in the balls, you're going down for a minute.
Yeah. Now we have so we've gone from Trish and Ivory earlier in the show. It was a lot earlier than we actually covered it. But then we went from Stephanie McMahon, and now we see Tori Wilson, who looks absolutely amazing. This show just keeps getting better. Tajiri taking on Test. Obviously, Tori is in Tajiri's corner, and at one point, Test actually knocks Tori off the apron, which means Test needs to be jumped and kicked out of the WWE. But in the end, this was actually yeah, that's true, but he can still get jumped. This wasn't a bad short match either. It was about 3 minutes 53 seconds, but Test won it after getting the big boot, and now we have. Oh well, first off, what did you think about Test taking on Tajiri? I thought it was decent. What did you think?
I thought it was fine, but it's kind of obvious like they're kind of biding their time for post draft to like start
Right.
the real build to Unforgiven,
Back,
bad blood,
backlash.
back.
Oh, you want to do? Wait, you want to do Bad Blood?
No,
You want to do
no,
Bad
no,
Blood
no.
03? We can do that. Yeah,
No,
get that
you
track
want to
for.
do Bad Blood 24? Okay.
No. We're not gonna do Bad Blood 24. I'll do that Unforgiven 06 over it. We ain't doing no Bad Blood 24. You need to. That will be a CNT review.
Yeah, you
So
never know.
after that, we have Mr. McMahon with the NWO backstage. McMahon looks at Nash, says he looks ready. Paul agrees. McMahon says, I have a feeling that tonight the NWO will make a statement. He says Nash is going to castrate the Brahma Bull. And that is when Scott Hall asks about the draft, to which Mr. McMahon says, don't worry, I thought of that. And the NWO will be drafted as a unit on this upcoming draft, obviously on Raw on Monday. He also says, don't worry because Ric Flair does not want any more NWO poison. That is when Kevin Nash just says, hell yeah, and he daps up Scott Hall, who essentially says, that's what I'm talking about. A good little segment here. Obviously, the announcement that all three NWO members will be drafted as a unit, and that's essentially what that was all about. But also, Mr. McMahon being excited that he thinks that Kevin Nash is ready for the main event tonight. So, what do you think of that segment there with McMahon and the NWO?
I thought it was good. You got Vince and the NWO. An interesting dynamic because I feel like we didn't get enough. We didn't get enough of that in the earlier days of
Right.
the NWO. So we was also we didn't get to see a lot of Vince McMahon and Diesel or Razor Ramon. So like that's kind of a nice visual too.
Yeah, that's true. And now, so Brock Lesnar made his debut on the Raw episode that we just reviewed, and he debuted in a random ass tag partner versus tag partner match where it was Maven taking on Al Snow, which just felt so weird, even though, yeah, it was for a title, it was for the hardcore title. It still made no sense, especially with the fact that these two, spoiler alert, are going to be taking on Billy and Chuck for the tag team titles at Backlash. Like, they're a tag team, but they don't like each other here for a week. But yeah, that is where Brock Lesnar makes his debut. Brock Lesnar makes his SmackDown debut in another tag partner versus tag partner match. Although this makes some sense because Mighty Molly and Hurricane had a little issue with each other at
What?
WrestleMania in the in oh well first before this Stacker 2 Burn of the Night right after McMahon and NWO. It's just Linda announcing the draft, and we see Mr. McMahon punch
Burn.
we see Mr. McMahon punch Ric Flair from Monday Night on Raw, which ends with Flair getting right up and then putting Mr. McMahon in the figure four. So now we get to Hurricane taking on Mighty Molly. Again, this makes a little bit more sense because Hardcore Holly and Mighty Molly actually do have a little bit of an issue going back to WrestleMania.
So
Go ahead.
the Hurricane finally found his sidekick. I guess it was I guess it was Molly.
Yeah, that
I
goes back.
I would have never guessed.
That goes back to our Unforgiven 01, Road to Unforgiven 01
Wow,
series.
good for him.
Yeah, we just did that. We yeah. So a lot has happened that actually transpired during that road to that still lingers here just a couple of months later. Tajiri and Tori are still together, and now you see who Hurricane's new partner is. Although they are slowly breaking up here because again they had the
Well,
24/7 issue on at WrestleMania where Mighty Molly was like, "Oh, Hurricane, look over there," and she smacks him with like
it
a
was
pan. What?
no, because this that segment is ingrained into my mind.
Yeah,
Holly, Hurricane and Molly Holly are in the back. Hurricane just won the tag title, won the hardcore
yeah,
title after he had swooped in on a freaking rope in the backstage area and
right.
pinned whoever was the champion at the time. Next segment, it's Hurricane and Molly being interviewed, and I think it was Molly who said, "To the Hurricycle."
Yeah,
Hurricane says, "And how?" And
yeah,
then Molly just hits him in the back with a frying pan and pins him. But
yeah.
do you remember how she lost it?
She lost it because she had a bottom part of a.
That was
Yeah,
fucking brutal looking.
yeah. Christian slammed a door in her face, and what was his line? Look, stand back. There's a new champ coming through, or something like that. Yeah,
You know who's to blame for that? I bet he thought that was just that was Grandma Edna coming to
yeah.
kill
There
him.
you go. Yeah, yeah. One day we will do the road to WrestleMania 18, and that will be a three pay-per-view road to. Most of our WrestleMania
Uh,
road twos will be three pay-per-view road twos. So that would be Royal Rumble '02, which I don't believe we've ever covered on this show on this channel. No Way Out '02, which again we have not covered on this channel, and then WrestleMania 18, which has been covered on this channel because the other two guys went behind my back and reviewed a show they weren't supposed to, but without me. But yeah, what are
we
you gonna?
did it to get you back,
I,
and look,
I
we did it. We did it.
you knew that I wasn't coming back yet. I had
We
I
did
had
it.
I had stuff to deal with back then, and I
Yes,
told
and
Christian,
we
I
made sure that your stuff to deal with was no longer important, so you
I
could do our show.
I told Christian, you and Tro can do reviews while I'm not here. Just don't call it. Well, at the time, obviously, it was Retro Bros Reviews, and I think while I was dealing with stuff I was dealing with around that time was when we changed to FNC's reviews. Now we're FCT reviews, but uh, I told him just don't call it, don't put it with our series, and just do shows with Tro and review anything 2006 to the current day. And then for some reason, out of nowhere, all of a sudden he's reviewing WrestleMania 18. And then you picked No Way Out '05 too. You did it too, which I ain't even mad about No Way Out '05. But
You
you know,
didn't miss much.
yeah, I know it really wasn't a great show, but I do enjoy the cage match, the barbed wire steel cage match, but yeah. So
Well,
it went, but one of these days I will be a part of a WrestleMania 18 review, and that will be when we do the road to WrestleMania 18.
we we have to do eventually whatever road to involves us having to watch the global warming tour.
That wouldn't be a part of a road to that would because those type of shows have nothing to do with the
Are you
story.
you don't want to
We
watch The
can
Rock versus
we
Brock
can
Lesnar versus Triple
hell
H?
hell yeah, we can absolutely review that show, but that wouldn't be a road to. That's got to be like a special, like one show thing, because
Yeah,
that's
but
not
just
part.
that's just a house show, really.
It is. It's a damn fun house show. I love I have that DVD, and you know
I'm
who's on the cover, right?
Was it Stacy Keebler?
Yes, yes, it is a tremendous.
I just took a wild guess. I was watching one of the old Raws and I noticed something that they don't really do anymore. Whenever they visit, whenever they're like on the war tours, they're like show this is what they're doing in Japan. This is what they're doing. Like everyone's reaction. It's like man, because WWE doesn't really go to Japan that often. So when they went to Japan, it was like this is a huge deal. Everyone's so happy and this and that.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool. They used to always do that. Because they would always randomly have Japan tours or Mexico tours, and on like one of the SmackDown or Raw episodes, they would show
Yeah,
highlights of the tour. Yeah, that was always cool.
they used to
So
not be able to do these shows live, but now they can.
yeah, that's right, because of the network. So we have Hurricane and Mighty Molly, and this is obviously broken up by well, not debuting, well, at least SmackDown debuting Brock Lesnar, who essentially destroys both of your superheroes. Uh, good segment. Brock again. You got to get him on the show. You just debuted him. You're not going to have him, not be on SmackDown right after you debut him. So makes sense. Now we have Undertaker walking around. He comes across a backstage guy. He asks him where Ric Flair's office is, and this guy tells him, "Oh, it's right over there." And that is when we cut to WWF.com showing WrestleMania, and it's showing Triple H with the gold, and it says Triple H wins the gold as he's holding up both belts while standing on the turnbuckle. Michael Cole then thanks everybody for the Sky Dome attendance record of, again, RVD said it was 70,000. Well, it was 68,237.
Mm-hmm.
Now we cut to Ric Flair in his office. He's on the phone. Undertaker walks in. So Flair immediately gets up. Undertaker's like, no, 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 you're good. Sit down. Sit down. And Undertaker looks at Flair like, and Undertaker's like sitting on like the armrest of a couch that's in the office, and he's like, "So Flair, how you feeling these days? You didn't look so hot at WrestleMania." And Ric Flair says, "Yeah, but I'm still here." Undertaker's like, "Yeah, you're still here. I saw you on Monday when you put the figure four on Vince." He says, "Well, the thing is, I had the night off on Monday. This is tonight, and I'm here tonight. And since I'm here, I need a favor." So he asked Flair to draft him on Monday night at the draft him to Raw, which obviously makes no sense. These two hate each other. Why does Undertaker want Flair to draft him? Why would Flair even want to draft Undertaker?
Yeah.
Well, Undertaker explains his side, and he says, "You know how they were doing this, classic Mania moment while building up WrestleMania for all these weeks? Well, he says that he being Undertaker wants every day of Ric Flair's life to be a WrestleMania moment." He then gets up, and as he's walking away, he still tells Flair to think about it, and then he walks off with an evil laugh. Really good segment. Really good segment there. Undertaker essentially still rubbing WrestleMania in Ric Flair's face, and then draft me. Tells him draft me so I can make every day of your life a living hell with more WrestleMania moments. Great little segment there. What do you think about it, Trill?
That's what I want Shador Sanders to do, and to go into Joe Shane's office. Draft me. I want you to draft me 3rd overall. I want to make every day of your life a living hell. Joe Shane probably drafts him. No, I thought it was good.
Yeah, you guys need a quarterback. You need
We
draft
don't.
somebody.
We have Russell Wilson.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
and Jameis Winston.
Aging Russell Wilson and a career backup, essentially. Although, yeah, Wilson was decent with the Saints, but come on now. He's at best the backup.
I'm gonna eat a dub. Oh, I threw it. I threw an interception. Whoopsie.
Here's a good segment right here. We have Billy and Chuck backstage. Chuck asks.
Billy and Chuff over here. Chuff Palumbo.
So Chuck Palumbo asks if it was a good idea to hire Rico. Heard he is a little tough, Chuck says. Billy then says, he might be tough, but the fact is, he's the best there is. And what Billy means by that is he's the best stylist. He's the best stylist there is. Billy was about to say something.
He's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. In the style of the world.
Yeah. Billy was about to say something else, but then he is cut off because he notices Rico's coming. He's like, oh, hold on, he's coming. Rico walks up to them, looks at them, and says, this is pathetic. This is an embarrassment. How do you guys live with yourselves with these crooked headbands and these totally passé color schemes? He says, they are going to undergo a complete full-body makeover immediately after they beat the Hardys. He then tells them, get their robes, and as he's walking away, he's like, unbelievable. How can I work with this? And then they cut back to Billy and Chuck, where Billy says, he's tough, but he's the best stylist money can buy. And Billy and Chuck just dap each other up, and then Chuck says, do we really look passé? What do you think of this segment? Billy, Chuck, and Rico were phenomenal. And Rico, even as a solo, was phenomenal too. But what do you think of this segment?
It's the start of something truly magical.
Yes.
But my one question is, what I'm trying to figure out timeline-wise is, don't they get drafted to Smackdown?
Yeah.
With Rico?
Yeah.
So, in September.
Yeah, they're still on SmackDown. That's an interpromotional match. 3-minute warning Enrico. 3-minute warning Billy and Chuck. Interpromotional.
No, I'm trying to think. When after Flair's done being GM of Raw, and he has the thing that gets Flair to join Triple H in 02, and after Triple H like berates him, I think he lost to Rico. It was like, made Triple H say, "You're losing to Rico? Really? Come on, you're not the dirtiest player in the game anymore."
Well, during the interpromotional storyline for Unforgiven was they turned. Remember the wedding? The we're not gay. We're just doing this for the publicity. That was the night that Rico turned on Billy and Chuck.
Was that 02 or 03?
That was 02. The Billy and Chuck thing
did
not continue until 03. So that was leading up to Unforgiven.
Okay.
So after 3-minute warning interfered in that wedding angle or publicity stunt, Rico went over to Raw because Rico set that whole thing up, having Bischoff and makeup and Billy and Chuck, 3-minute warning being there. In storyline theory, Rico set that whole thing up. So he went to Raw. So that's how he would have beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, wait a second. It was like that light bulb moment was like, wait a second. Rico gets drafted to SmackDown with Billy and Chuck, yet he somehow beats Ric Flair in September or late August.
See,
how does this happen?
Tro was in preschool at this point. You know, he's a young.
You see, Frank wasn't watching the show at this time, so.
But I know more than you did.
You see, I know.
I was
Good for
just
you, Frank.
I was a few months away. I did start watching like not too long after that wedding segment, the publicity stunt. That was September of '02. I started watching Thanksgiving '02. So, yeah.
You watched with Al Wilson and Michael Cole saying, "Ah, hell."
The Al Wilson storyline was tremendous, but right after that we get the boot of the week, and a
The
lot of
what?
people, the boot of the week,
I thought
Lugs.
you said boop.
No,
I
and
swear to God, that's why we went from Al Wilson to
no,
the boob of the week.
no. Lugs boot of the week, and Lugs themselves need to be kicked out of the being in WWE.
To be fair, I don't think anyone wears them anymore. So
Well, yeah. How you say it? Sponsorship. They need to be kicked out of WWE sponsorship for picking
yep.
this as their boot of the week. And Billy Gunn needs to be kicked out of the WWE for taking away Stacy Keebler's awesome, amazing distraction where that could have led to a little more, but Billy just totally ignored her. He needs to be jumped and kicked out of WWE for that. And obviously what the Dudley boys did to Stacy afterwards, they need to be jumped and kicked out. But the boot of the week from Lugs is the Dudley Boys Billy and Chuck tag title match from Monday night on Raw, where Stacy Keibler got the Dudleys disqualified by using the tag title belts on Billy. And then, sadly, in one of the most tragic moments in WWE history, the Dudley Boys put poor Stacy through the table. One of the most tragic moments in WWE history. The Dudleys definitely need to be kicked out of WWE and jumped. But now we have the WWE Tag Team titles. Billy and Chuck defending against the Hardy Boys. And at one point, Matt was going for or actually, Jeff was going for the Twist of Fate because Matt was going to do the leg drop. But that is stopped by Rico. And that leads to a dumbasser, a Fame-masser, excuse me. The idiot.
Dumbasser.
Yeah, I'm reading the idiots over at 411 Mania, the smart
It's the
marks,
dumbasser.
the Fame-masser. And this match ends at about 3 minutes 37 seconds. It was okay, tag title match. Billy and Chuck obviously retaining. But what do you think of this match here, tag titles?
I thought it was good.
Yeah,
Billy and Chuck have a very good chemistry together, which is you
yeah, they
probably
were a
never really
great
think
team.
it.
Yeah,
I guess it's because Billy's really good. Is a really good tag. Billy Gunn's a really good tag guy.
hmm
So he always works as a better tag guy because when he ever soloed, it flops.
absolutely. Um, But I kind of wish that 3 minute warning came in a little earlier so we could have got a more of an extended Billy and Chuck 3 minute warning feud. Because that could have been
Yeah,
like, well, obviously you would have had to turn Billy and Chuck face a little earlier. I don't know if that would have been because Billy and Chuck were just great heels.
yeah.
But maybe I mean, for the big size, I think 3 minute warning could have been a good face team. But I don't know, they were great heels too. But they just worked together. They worked well together. That Unforgiven match wasn't that bad at all.
No,
Um, and obviously, with the tag teams getting split up, spoiler alert, a lot of them being split up on Raw coming up, there weren't a lot of tag teams from like spring to summer to pretty much the very end of their run with that. When did they end? I think they ended after that wedding, the publicity stunt after Unforgiven, right? So
yes, pretty quick
from
because one of them gets hurt.
yeah, from here on out to Unforgiven to the very which would be the end, Billy and Chuck don't have a lot of teams to work with. They had a good little run with Edge and Hogan, but that was a team that was thrown together, and it was literally just one SmackDown match and one pay per view match. Or no, I don't even think they had a pay per view match because Hogan and Edge then defended against Storm and Christian. So it was literally just one match. And that's when we get to 3 minute warning, the 3 minute warning feud, the interpromotional feud. That's the
Yeah,
end of each other.
because It's probably Chuck who gets hurt because I know Billy goes on to have kind of like a second,
Well,
a second
Billy,
Assman gimmick.
yeah, but Billy disappeared before that.
Hmm.
And Chuck Palumbo, it has to be Billy because Chuck Palumbo, not too long after Billy and Chuck go straight into the FBI at like the beginning of 2003.
Yeah,
And Billy Gunn disappeared to like what, April of '03, where he returns, and they almost immediately put him with Tori Wilson, which, good for him.
he's the ass man
Yeah.
again.
Main event time. Sponsored by FCT ENT. You want good pro wrestling reviews? You go to YouTube, FCT ENT. How's that for a sponsorship?
There you go.
Rock.
Generic, the most generic ass sounding promotion ever.
It was. It was.
We're not promising anything. We're just saying if you want, what's your proof? If
Yeah.
we just listen, just watch, and you'll see.
You want proof? Look at our 0 views.
Look at our 0 views and watch as Frank tries to get his frozen computer to work and skips over a whole ass match.
Yeah. Well. Let's not forget when your dad jumped off a bridge.
My
You want
dad
to talk
jumped off a
about?
bridge, and you
You
want
want
to
to
know
talk
how
about
good this show is?
Frank?
How good this shows that Frank didn't even complain that they opened up with a match, not a segment.
Yeah, this has been a good show. I mean, I don't like the beginning, but they made up for the show beginning up with a match with Kurt Angle's entertaining commentary. So that's why I didn't
didn't
really
even mention
complain too
that.
much.
That's how you know the show's going good because he didn't even say, you know what, fucking man, fucking WWF, and why does this always happen whenever we review the first SmackDown of an arc?
Yeah, this is the first match. This first SmackDown of our Road to was much, much better than the first SmackDown of our prior Road to.
Yeah,
So main event
didn't take
time.
much, by the way. Though, so.
It really didn't. It really didn't. But main event time, Rock taking on Kevin Nash in what was Kevin Nash's SmackDown debut, and it ends with a disqualification as let's see here. I believe Hogan. Yeah, Hogan comes out, but then Hogan is jumped. Rock and Hogan are jumped by the Outsiders, and guess who?
Grandma Edna.
Yeah, Grandma Edna. No, the returning X-Pac, who is
Make some noise.
decked out in NWO gear. He has not been in the NWO in 4 years at this point. He was one of the quickest or shortest NWO members. That's not a short joke. Like in terms of like how long he lasted with the NWO, but now he returns and is with NWO 2002, and they all jump Hogan and Nash, or excuse me, Hogan and Rock, and that is how the last show before the brand extension goes off the air. I did say that Regal and DDP was my match tonight. I'm changing that for first.
Bastards.
Yeah, Kevin Nash and Rock gets it. Not just because you got two mega stars right here, but the end was done well. You're setting up the story here. You've added another NWO member in X-Pac, and you have the big beatdown at the end. I still go segment of the night. Stephanie, Triple H, Jericho, that whole thing where she changes the main event for the Raw. Obviously, the turn takes from handicap. The main event here, Rock and Nash with the interference at the end.
I thought it was good. It's don't think it really amounts much towards the end. It doesn't really go too far back in the backlash.
Yeah. Bad Blood,
You keep on
Backlash.
you keep on making me think of Bad Blood.
You called
God
it
damn it!
Unforgiven first. You called it Unforgiven
Yeah,
first earlier in
yeah.
the
I'm gonna
show.
start calling it Judgment. I'm gonna start calling Judgment Day Bad Blood and Backlash.
Well, Judgment Day '04, for those who may not know, will be our next road too. But we still got way.
I'm gonna start saying WrestleMania 15, WrestleMania 15. Just yeah, the build to WrestleMania 15 for Hogan and Triple H is really going downhill.
uh, but yeah, thoughts on the main event here.
I thought it was good. It was a
Yeah.
fun match.
So now we go overall out of 10, and I'm going to essentially give us the same thing I gave the Raw episode, 9.5 out of 10. This was a fun show. You had a lot of good stuff here. Obviously, like I said, Stephanie and Triple H with Jericho, that was a great segment. Kurt Angle on commentary in the opening match, trying to be hip. That was hilarious. APA with Regal, great segment. Undertaker with Flair. There's so much stuff. Billy, Chuck, and Rico had probably one of the funniest backstage segments in the whole show. And then you end the show the way they did with the attack and the reveal that we now have a new NWO member and the attack on Rock and Hogan. Great way to end the show. It was a phenomenal show. 9.5 out of 10. Tro, overall out of 20 for the March 21st, 2002 SmackDown.
Out of 20, eh?
No, out of 10. I'm kidding. Out of 10.
I was going to say, oh boy, we're really stepping up the. I like the show. I don't know if I liked it that much. This ain't the road to Unforgiven 06 now. Where I'll give everything a 10 out of 10. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'll give this about a 7 out of 10.
Okay. So our next show. Oh, by the way, did you see Maven's newest YouTube video, or the big one that he recently put out?
No.
So he titled it, "This wrestler scammed his fans. I confronted him." For a second, I was like, "Holy shit!" He confronted Logan Paul. And as it turned out, he actually confronted Justin Credible and I did not really know about this, but Justin Credible, and he owned up to this too. He owned up to some of it. Like he had scammed fans, and that was crazy. But yeah, and he asked people for money and shit. Like, if you want the full story, just go to Maven's channel. But yeah, really interesting. The question is now: will Maven confront Logan Paul?
Probably not.
Yeah, he probably won't because obviously he's with WWE.
Well, Logan Paul would also probably kick his ass.
Maybe.
No, Logan Paul is he's decently built. He has a nice punch.
Yeah. So our next show is obviously going to be the 2002 WWE draft. That will be the first draft of any of the drafts that we will ever cover on this channel. We have not covered a single episode that took place during the 2005 draft, because obviously if we would have, that would technically count because they did those. I don't like the way they did that, even though, yeah, I get it, the surprise effect, but I like the having an actual show type deal much better. 2004 draft is definitely one I want to do one day because that was such a special show to me. That was the first time that I had ever seen a WWE draft, but because again, I was not a
Yeah.
fan yet. But this was a great show. I cannot wait to review it. Any more thoughts on this show that we just did, and anything you're looking forward to when we cover the draft?
Well, when you look at the draft, I think SmackDown might be trading their first overall pick to Raw. I just have that feeling, and before we get this draft underway, I think TJ Ciampa has a good chance of going first overall. The Rock did not really do too good in the
The combine.
combines. His footwork was just off a little bit, And you know what? That's make or break in the WWF. So I don't think he's going to go first overall. If SmackDown takes The Rock first overall, they're done. 2002, that'll be their last episode. They'll be dead within a year.
Well, there you go. So tomorrow we might, if not tomorrow, then I guess Wednesday, but hopefully tomorrow we will recap the Islanders month of March. The Islanders do not play tomorrow, and tomorrow is the last day of March, so obviously we can recap the month tomorrow. But we will see about that. And then obviously we will continue sometime in the future, hopefully near future. We will, and maybe even later in that night, if we still do it tomorrow, we can right after that maybe go over the draft. What do you say about that? What do you think about that?
Maybe.
All right, we'll see about that. For anybody who's watching, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thank you to anybody who's watched, and yeah, we will see you again, maybe tomorrow, but at some point in the future. Thanks for watching.